I've been telling all my race fan friends, I'm like, just go get people that's never been here. Bring them here one night. It's free. There's no parking charge, so it's free. You can park for free. You can go to grandstands for free. If we want to grow the sport, bring some new people, expose them to it, and let's try to, make race fans.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Knoxville Night in America!
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Knoxville Nights episode number 36. It is almost time for opening night of the Knoxville season, the 73rd season at the Knoxville Raceway. Jason Reed joins us later in the show. Fingers crossed for this week, by the way. We got a fun show coming up. We're going to go over our picks for the Knoxville season, try to preview it the best we can. The problem is that with the weekly racing series and the way Knoxville is, we just don't really know who's going to be here or on a weekly basis, who's going to fight for points. But before we get into that, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and everything on YouTube. Leave 5 stars. Check us out on Dirt Vision. Obviously, if you're watching on Dirt Vision, hello. And make sure to create a Dirt Vision account because they got a lot of great races, a lot of old races. And after what we saw this past week with the Outlaws, you're not going to miss it. They got a great 2-race schedule coming up with Jacksonville, and then Hopstadt. So going to be really fun. And then obviously Knoxville right around the corner. So a lot of great racing on Dirt Vision as always. A little bit of general news, shoptrackthreads.com. Get your Knoxville Nights merch. We'd love to see pictures of you in your Knoxville Nights merch, by the way. Yeah. If you're at the track, I will definitely come and say hi to you if you're wearing Knoxville Nights merch. I mean, you can come say hi to me. I'll still say hi to you. But I will pick you out if I see it, and I'm sure Josh and Cade will do the same. And I'm sure Cade would like to sign a couple Knoxville Nights shirts, honestly. I think that'd be cool as well.
Don't forget a few of them floating around last year. And it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Seeing that stuff pop up. Love to see it.
Free admission this Saturday for the season opener on our Craig Ford Pellet Motors race night. The weather is not looking great, aka it looks like it's going to be really cold, and there is snow up in like northern Iowa and Minnesota. So we shall see what happens, but we're just going to come out and say it. I hope we're so wrong, but the weather does not look good for this week.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep our fingers crossed, but we didn't want to lie to you and be like, yeah, it's going to be nice and sunny. As of right now, it is going to be quite cold. So we will wait and see what happens, but don't get your hopes up too much. But don't put your hopes out of Dash for a possible another free night, possibly down the road. We've just heard a couple things, but nothing's too concrete. But yeah, if you can make it, and we do race, and Mother Nature gives us a little bit of sun, that's going to be on Friday. Make sure to check it out.
Free GA tickets. Well, you'll hear from Jason Reed. I wasn't aware of free parking also, which is really cool. And also just, if you're in the Midwest, stay aware of the weather this week. I know where this is dropping Monday afternoon. Sounds like it might get a little Monday, crazy out there this week.
Tuesday,
so just keep tabs on the weather.
Yeah. And then in other news, we mentioned it during Sprint Car Nights, but we have to mention it here on Knoxville Nights. Chris Martin won an ASCS race last night. He won it at the Salina High Banks, and his brother Cam finished 4th. Chris held off Sam Haferteep and company to get the win. So happy for Chris. That was such a cool win. Really cool to see Ashton lift him up in victory lane. I'm so happy for him. And to see both of them running really well, I'm happy for both of them and that whole team.
Yeah, and people can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe I saw where somebody had posted that was their first time down there too. So pretty good debut at the track, beating the ASCS national guys.
Yeah.
Representing Iowa, baby.
Absolutely. And beating the best to do it. I mean, that's in the ASCS. I say that's a pretty big deal as well.
Those CMR cars have been pretty damn fast, man.
Yeah, I mean, keep an eye out for it. We're going to talk about a couple here when we get to our picks here in a second. We'll jump right into it. 2026 season preview is now. We're going to try to go over what we can to the best of our abilities. Obviously, we just don't have concrete names. We can tell you that, like, for 410s, Ryan Timms right now is slated to run most of the season, as is probably Brian Brown. But that big week in the middle of July is going to be the kicker with Kings Royal, because if you go away and you miss a week and Austin McCarl, like recent years, does not go, that pretty much seals the deal, because it's a very hard gap to make up if Austin doesn't miss a race. Not saying that's how Austin has won his championships the last couple of years. He's been very close. He had to hold off Aaron Reitzel 2 years ago. That came down to the last race, but that's just kind of how it goes. Your 410 champion last year was Austin McCarl, and we'll just start with 410s as it is. Championship-wise, for our championship picks, I'm going to spoil it for Josh as well. We're both going to pick Austin McCarl to do it again. I think it would be his 5th track championship, so just continuing to get up there in the all-time champion column. His consistency's abundant, and while is he going to win 4 races a year? No, he didn't win a race till the last race of the year last year. He's still going to be super consistent. He's going to make the Knoxville Nationals. He's still very good. It's just, as long as he doesn't go to Eldora like he has in the last couple of years, he's pretty much a lock for the most part.
Yeah, and I would say I agree with everything you just said, first and foremost. They've had a little bit more struggles here. They were coming into the Knoxville season really hot after starting the year off with Outlaws, but mostly High Limit, from what I can recall. He was in contention to win a High Limit race or two last year early in the season. But you can't beat the consistency, like you said. I mean, he finished inside the top 10 in all but 2 of his features last year, and inside the top 5 10 times. He was the only guy in double digits last year that did that. So even if he were to go out to Eldora, which would be great for us that are going to be watching the championship race, I still think that he would be the favorite in my opinion, which is why I picked him. So I think when I was doing my picks, I was really just kind of looking at the guys that were in the points last year and just kind of going off of those, because it is tough to tell who's actually going to be here until they roll out for the first few weeks. But yeah, Austin McCarl, I think he's the clear favorite here for this year.
A dark horse, I'm going to go with J.J. Hickle. I think J.J. Hickle showed really good speed. He finished 6th last year in the point standings, 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s, and 13 feature starts. I was impressed with JJ. I think that if they can really get the consistency rolling, if they can get him in victory lane, I think that is going to be really crucial. I think JJ has a dark horse shot to possibly come away with the championship. He's a driven guy. He started pretty well in the short races that he's run earlier this season. So I like JJ if he can possibly pull it off as a dark horse.
And that's another year with that team as well. So, just continuing to gel. They won a race last year up at Cedar Lake. We talked to Matt Morrow about that a couple weeks ago. There's a few guys. Honestly, JJ is a really good pick. Yeah. I waffle between him. I like Riley Goodnow also. Picked up his first win at Knoxville last year in the 360. Yep. But we talked about the fast CMR cars. I'm going with Cam Martin as my dark horse pick for this one. I think he'll turn some heads. I don't know if he'll necessarily be in the championship hunt, but I think that he can make some noise this year for sure.
Yeah. And then our Rookie of the Year / Most Improved, I'm going to go with the Rookie of the Year from last year, who still finished 11th, and there is still plenty of improvement to be had. I think Jack Anderson gets himself a win this year. I'm just going to say it right up front. I think Jack wins the race this year. I think that invert helps him a lot. I think the format, he loves passing race cars. I think Jack plays into this format really well. I think Jack is going to get himself a win. I think he will finish top 10 in points. I'm not going to say easily, but I think he will finish top 10 in points. And he'll be a competitor night in and night out. The race car looks great. I can tell you that right now. I saw they were doing photos of it. I'm going to go Jack as most improved here in 2026.
I like that one. That's in the early running for my paint scheme of the year.
Yep.
Second to Cade Higday and the Knoxville Knights car, of course. But no, that thing looks sharp. Check out social media if you haven't seen it yet. That's a really good pick too, Blake. But I'm going to have to stick with my dark horse, Cam Martin. I think that we just got a taste of what he has to show this season at the Nationals last year.
Yep.
Because he moved forward in the Nationals finale too. So I think that was very valuable experience for him. They're focusing a lot more on the 410 this year, as we talked with him probably a month or so ago as well. So I think that we've got a pretty deep field as far as the guys that we know that will be here for the 410s, and I'm looking forward to getting after it, man.
I just kind of want to go over the names here, Josh, on our light and steak bake 410s from last year, just guys that we didn't mention here, but undoubtedly you will hear about. Brian Brown, I mean, how could you not? I know the season has not been very kind to Brian to start yet before he gets into Knoxville, but it's Knoxville, and it's Brian Brown. Currently sitting at 68 or 69 career wins at Knoxville, nice. So he's one away from 70. That's going to be meaningful. I think when he gets to 70, anytime you get to that 10 mark, 10, 10, 10, I think it's a big deal. I think Brian will get his 70th win at the Knoxville Raceway. Carson McCarl is going to be right there. He's going to be in that 2KS. Iowa Barnstormers, full Iowa Barnstormers 2KS. That thing looks sick.
They changed it up.
Yeah, it looks just like the football helmet, which is awesome. I love that the Barnstormers are really jumping into it. I think that's an awesome deal for Carson. Ryan Timms, I mean, he's going to be here. It's just a matter of, races, everything else. 4 wins last year. He was going to be right there for the championship if he didn't miss that week. So keep an eye out for that. Riley Goodnow, another one to watch out for. Picked up his first 360 win at Knoxville last year. Watch out. I mean, he's been fast. He's kind of been everywhere. I think he was in Salina last night. Or no, he was in I-55 last night.
Yeah.
So they're everywhere. Chris Martin, talked about him. Caleb Johnson, from my understanding, I think will run points in either the 360 or the 410. We're not really sure yet, but I think Caleb's going to be one to watch as well. Linton Jeffrey. How could we, we got to throw out Linton Jeffrey's name in there. Sawyer Phillips is going to be fun as well. So big names, Josh. I mean, it is the Light and State make 410s are going to be awesome to watch all year long.
Yep. Always are, Blake. And they're going to run it back again this year.
More laps.
What's that?
More laps. We talked about that being 25 laps.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. We touch on it with Jason, but not just the races get really good in those last final laps, but lap traffic. You reach faster race cars when you get further in the field in lap traffic. I think that'll change a lot in the races. So,
yeah, and we've seen that over the years too. It's a good happy medium, and I mean you've seen the national tours, especially now. Just speaking 410s only, your standard laps are probably 30 at most places, 30 to 40. So it kind of gets these teams that are maybe more local based a little bit more of a taste of that. You got to set your car up differently in some instances, but more laps, more racing. I like it.
Yeah. Our 360s moving along to our Randall Roofing 360 Sprint Car Series. Our champion last year was Tasker Phillips. I didn't mention Tasker up front, but that's another one for the 410s that we don't really know. Even he doesn't know what he's going to do. So, I hate to say it for the people that didn't like it last year. I bet they do what they did last year. They just kind of feel it out. And before that deadline starts on June 1st, I think they'll have an answer. So, I mean, you might see a couple guys actually also do that. I think Riley Goodnow, if he does double duty, I think Riley might try to do that. Sawyer Phillips. I mean, there are guys that I think saw that and thought, well, maybe we can do that. So I would not be surprised if we see a couple more drivers do that.
Maybe move the deadline up a little bit to
possibly
just to eliminate that.
If
is
you
my
get
opinion.
rainouts, you never know. I mean, it's tough, but we'll just have to see. That could be.
I personally don't like how close it is to kind of getting halfway through the season. Yeah. I feel like you should, if you're about a third of the way, you should kind of know, or at least have declared is my stance on that, I guess.
Yeah. For my champion, I'm going to go with the guy that hasn't won in a while and didn't win last year, but I love his consistency. I love the team. I'm going to go with Ryan Giles. I mean, this may seem kind of like a far out there pick, but I think consistency could pay off. He doesn't wreck the race car. And I think Ryan Giles, could walk away a champion, and I think he will win a race this year. And I think that'll go a long way for him, but I'm going to go Ryan Giles to get it done this year.
Stop me if you've heard this, Blake. I like your pick. Looking at the spread of the points, he finished 595 back. Tasker beat everybody handily.
Yep.
Easily. We saw that. But if you take out some uncharacteristic part failures, they had I believe it was the same part failure twice last year that Matt Morrow had said that they hadn't seen in 20 years. So
was he not leading the points at one point when Tasker wasn't in the series?
I think they were maybe trading a little bit.
First and second.
But if he doesn't have those failures, I'm pretty confident in saying that he's not finishing worse than third. He may have very well, done runner-up. So I really like that. I do. That team, similar to JJ and YSA, I think that they could be contenders in both, honestly. Just got to clean up the bad nights where, like I'm saying, some of them weren't even their fault. But it gets back to the consistency. And if Tasker is not the guy that's, racing for the points, Mr. Consistency himself, Clint Garner, is the guy to beat. And we've seen it so many years in a row that he is the best in the 360 right now, especially looking back over the decades that he's been racing. And he's not done. He's going to be extra motivated this year. So I think
he was my pick
the 40
last year.
car.
Yep.
The 40 car is going to be in the conversation week in and week out in the 360 class.
Got back to victory lane last year, earlier in the year, and I think a lot of people thought, all right, here we go, but just never could put it together the rest of the way.
Contended for the 360 shootout, had unfortunate contact. He could have very easily won that as well.
He is 2 away from 50. That's why I also agree with you on the, he's going to be motivated. Got to try to get to 50. I'm sure he would love to do that. So, yeah, I like that pick for Clint Garner. My dark horse, I'm going to go with our guy. I think Cade Higday is a legit dark horse. I think a man that just couldn't catch a break last year until it came to championship night when he finally got the invert that he needed and showed that the car was very fast. And I think the car was fast all year. I think he finally got a couple things worked out behind the scenes, down in the pits, trying to get things straightened out. And I think he's motivated. I think he really wants to get this done. He wants to keep winning more. Now they finally has that win behind him, one that wasn't taken away from him. He is a winner. I think Cade could be a dark horse to compete for a championship here this year.
Yeah, and shame on us for not acknowledging Cade. He's getting ready for the opener.
That's why he's not here. Yeah,
he's got some races on the schedule. He's got the opener, planning on running Stewart as well. So hopefully, weather permits for that too. Yep. I like Cade a lot as well for a dark horse. If anything, just had some tough breaks and everything. He ended up 9th in the points. I think that he'll be better than that this year for sure. And like you said, having fun at the races is a big thing. And I really saw Cade having fun there towards the end of the year, and can't ask for a better way to cap it off than winning the last race of the season. And I don't see him slowing down at all. Just making sure that he owns all of his equipment, and got to take care of that sometimes too. And I'd love to see Cade, get up in the top 5, top 3 in points and really contend for a championship, because we've already seen that he can do that in other classes too. Right. But my dark horse is your championship pick is Ryan Giles, for all the reasons that we've already talked about. I do see that, he, speaking of not tearing stuff up, Matt Morrow was telling Cade and I on the episode that kind of got to get on his ass a little bit sometimes to be like, you don't have, and I think he said that you don't have to fix it. So get after it a little bit, and I'd love to see it. Ryan's a great guy, and I would love to see them get into victory lane, and same with JJ. And I think that I really do, Blake. I think the 360 class could be just wide open this year, and it's going to be so much fun every week
to watch. Yeah.
Yep. It always is, in my opinion. I think it's, you could argue that 360s put on the most consistently entertaining show, because sometimes 410s can get spread out a little bit, but 20 laps now in 360s, I think it's going to be great.
I mean, it's only a 2-lap difference, but that's big. So
yeah.
I think with that invert too, you're going to see guys that maybe you didn't think had a chance at winning. You never know what the track state will be, but 360s will be going first each night. So that sounds like that probably won't change. So the 360s will be going first. So why not kick it off?
And let's not forget to come back around to some of those things. I know we talk about it a little bit later with Jason, but I would like to pick your brain with just us as well. What do you think of the most improved rookie of the year?
I'm going with Brett Moffitt. Brett Moffitt's going to be in the Destiny Homes car. I think Brett, how can you not pick a guy that jumps into a pro sprint in his first time at Knoxville and just wins in the pro sprint? And then he just challenged himself. He just kept challenging himself. He wanted to get better and better. Then he gets a 360, and then him and Matt Allen just keep teaming up, and they just keep working on some stuff. And I think Brett, he's going out and he's racing more. He's trying to get better, and I think he wants to be good at this. So I'll go with Brett Moffitt. Why not? I'm not saying he might finish top 10, but I think for sure he could challenge for it. The car, I think, is going to be fast. I like Brett's chances to be pretty good, and I think he can compete for Rookie of the Year. So I think he has a good shot.
Yeah, I like that too. He, he just needs laps in a sprint car, laps in a 360 sprint car as well, and he's obviously talented. He's won, like you mentioned there, in a sprint car. He's won in a modified, which is different, of course, but he knows how to get around on dirt racing. So just with laps and time, and there sounds like they're going to be teamed up some with Sawyer Phillips.
Sawyer, yep.
Sawyer, not Tasker. Going to have Sawyer in maybe a kind of a pseudo team car a little bit. Yeah. So Sawyer knows how to get around Knoxville as well.
Just saying. Might be another guy. Just saying.
Got RTJ, seems like too.
Yeah,
so
seems like maybe.
That'd be a good pairing. I'm going to go with Timothy Smith. They showed a lot of speed early in the night and kind of struggled later part of the night. And another guy getting more laps and getting more comfortable. He's still a very young dude. So I think that will be, I'm curious to see them another year into this and just getting more laps and familiarizing themselves with their team and what they're trying to do. And I definitely think that where was he? He was a little bit down the order, because I know that had some tougher finishes there. But yeah, I'd like to see the 86 out there up towards the front more this year.
Absolutely. Going over a couple guys that we didn't talk about. Man who finished third in points, Tyler Gronendijk, had 2 wins last year. Unfortunately, do not think we'll be seeing much of Tyler this year. He kind of announced that he's kind of stepping back a little bit. So
it's a shame.
Hopefully we see him in a one-off. I've heard that maybe he had a couple offers to maybe run something, so we'll see. But just kind of throwing that out there. Cam Martin has moved up to the 410s. Dustin Selvage doesn't seem like, I guess maybe there's a chance, but Dustin Selvage most likely, I don't think, will be in the field, but you never know. I mean, we saw the DGRD. Mixed. Yeah, we saw the DGRD car back out at Vegas. So, I mean, never say never, but we'll have to wait on that one. Terry McCarl is going to be Terry McCarl. I said it last year, and I still believe it. Terry McCarl his winning is not done at Knoxville. I truly believe there could be a night where Terry still wins one.
He was kind of coming on in the latter half of the season last year.
He was. Too. And I think, there is a chance.
Inverts,
I'm just saying, Terry still got it. I think Terry could still do it. So keep an eye out. I mean, I'm not saying maybe compete for a championship, but I sure really think Terry can maybe still win a race. Jamie Ball, champion 2 years ago, won a race last year. Do not count out Jamie Ball. He could come out. Last year, they just didn't have a lot of great luck. Just the way things kind of worked out just wasn't really working for him.
Had the health struggles in the beginning of the year too. Yeah. So I felt like his season just got off to a terrible start and just kind of couldn't get back after it after kind of feeling better. So don't feel like he's going to have another down season like that last year. Only 4 top 10s, I think it was. So especially coming off the championship year, the previous season, I think he'll be back closer to form than we're used to.
Yeah. Tony Ross, had him on the show just a couple of weeks ago. Tony showed really strong, really great power on that last night of the season. Again, another guy that I think could really benefit from the inverts.
He was tough to not pick as most improved.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was for you too.
He's going to be tough. I think he's got a drive to do it.
They're getting rolling.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what he can do. Timothy Smith, Ryan Levitt, keep an eye out. Ryan showed flashes last year. Ryan Bickett, another one. Kurt Mueller did get significantly better last year statistically. So keep an eye out for Kurt. And then obviously Russell Potter and everyone else on down. So, all right, our pro sprints. This is the toughest one because, the field is so in and out. You just never know what's going to happen. Championship, I'm going to go with Chase Young. I think Chase Young, I think, missed a race last year. With obviously had those burns in that incident that he had, but I think Chase Young could win it. I like what he's brought to the racetrack the last couple of years, a consistent winner now. I like Chase Young to get away with the championship.
This was both tough and not tough for me. I think if you look through the top 5 in points from last year, it's so good. And I think any of those guys can win on a given basis here this season. But at the same time, it's Jay Kinder's championship to lose, and I think he's proven that over the last however many years. And to me, it was just that simple. If he's showing up and he is anything like he's shown to be, he's the guy to beat. Period.
Right. Yeah, I think that's an easy pick, safe pick. Originally was going to sell all of his stuff. He was probably going to be done. Then his dad was like, "You're not selling all your stuff," so he brought it back off the marketplace. And they're running back one more time. He's giving us time. We'll see.
He's giving us a little shit. I like it. We'll talk about it here in just a second. But he was giving us a little shit, trying to get us a little involved in the race night stuff down there, which might have to consider it, Blake. We'll see.
And then dark horse, I'm going with Brody Johnson. I thought for sure Brody was going to win a race last year, so he's going to win it this year. I'm going to say it. He's going to win a race this year. He might win a couple races. Your pick, same as well. I think these two are going to have some really good battles here as long as they stick in pro sprints here at Knoxville. That's all I'll say about Brody. He's so close. He's going to be really good. He had 3 top 5s last year, 9 top 10s. That was the second most, tied for second most top 10s on the year. I like what Brody's doing.
Yeah, I agree. And he, as you alluded to, my pick is Luke Lane.
Yep.
He was right there with Kinder at the end of last year and finally did get his win. He won on championship night as well, right?
Yes. Yep.
So I'm really looking forward to that battle because especially with the inverts, I do think that could definitely throw things for a little bit of a loop in the pro sprint class just because how difficult it can be sometimes if somebody jumps out to a big lead. You can run them down, but it just talk about laps. They don't have a ton of laps and the passing. So yeah, I'm really, really interested to see. So we're talking about, and that'll kind of lead us into a couple of the changes that I wanted to talk to you about is the inverts. Jay Kinder was saying that maybe we need a little Team Netcode 10 or 12 invert challenge to where we pay out a little extra cash if somebody, draws a 12 invert, and if that yellow 88 comes up and takes the dub, maybe we got to throw a little extra cash. I like the idea of that. We don't have the deepest of pockets yet here, Blake, but
I'll tell you what. We could shake on this maybe right here. Cade won't do it. And this goes for all 3 series. I'm going to put it out there, and maybe you can match it. If somebody wins outside, if we have an invert of 12 or an invert of 10, if you win from either 10th on back, if it's an invert of 10, or if you win from 12th on back and it's an invert 12, I'll throw in $25. Will you match it?
I'll do it.
We will give it to the driver. So $50. It ain't much. It'll buy you a pizza, but I'll do it. I'll do it.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we can make this a little community effort. We can kind of like what Alan Dehigh does.
And you want to throw, I'm being dead serious about this, by the way, because all right, if you think it's impossible, then, and Jason says, Brian Brown won from 16th. So it's not out of the impossibility. But I'll throw it out there, and maybe we make it, Knoxville doesn't have to acknowledge it, but do the Team Netcode, middle of the pack challenge. I don't know. Come up with a name for it.
We'll workshop the name.
But if you throw in 25, I'll throw in 25. So there's $50 right
Let's
there.
Do it.
And if anybody else wants to jump in, we'll jump in. We'll try to get you the money after the race. I don't know. But
we'll figure it out.
I guess maybe another part of that, if you do end up doing it, you got to be on the show. It comes both ways. So
that's right.
I threw it out there. It's official. I can't take it back. I'm not going to take it back. So
I like it. It.
I'm not going to make Cade do it, but I think, if anybody else wants to join in,
we'll make Cade pay us if he ends up doing it. That'll be the deal.
If Cade doesn't, we're not paying Cade. That's in the stipulation fine text.
No, I like it. I like that.
We should. I think we do that, and then I think we should put a post out on Wednesday or something. Again, this is not. It's not in any shape or form involved with Knoxville. This is our own thing. It's kind of like Trunk Bar's thing when they do the D-Main thing. Like, we'll do it ourselves, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, drop in the comments if you're interested. Yep. Maybe we'll have to link up and see what we can get this raised up to.
I wonder if that can be
if we're 4 weeks into this thing and we've had 3 winners and a couple different classes, then we might have to reevaluate a little bit. But
how about when we make the post and we do fine text? If this has been won more than 4 times, we will stop doing it.
Yeah. We'll leave ourselves an out. I like it.
But if you made it this far in the show, waiting for Jason's interview, seriously, let us know. We're all for it.
I like it. I know you like the extra inverts, don't you?
Yes, I do.
You're not an anti-invert guy. I'm not either.
And it's sorry, I'm for the fans, and it's just, and I know it. There are going to be teams that will greatly benefit from this. Guys that usually run mid-pack will start up front. Well, guess what? Give them clean air. Just see what happens. Nate Mills won a race 3 years ago because of an invert that he got to start up front, and he just was able to hang on. Just because the car might not be as strong, he still had to get through lap traffic, still had to do all that. Aaron Reitzel and Chase Randall were flying coming up from behind, and he still was able to hang on because he did his job. Like, just because I qualify or I'm 12th and then I get inverted to the front doesn't mean I'm given a free win. Yeah, it sucks for the guy that was all the way to the front, but it's also 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Like, the odds are, I don't know. I'm not math, but 1 in 6. It's like there are chances, but we're not going to pull the 12 every week. So it's just part of it, man.
Yeah, it's an entertainment sport as well. We could maybe deep dive into this more on sprint car nights too. But I have my many complaints with the Outlaw format where it's basically straight up. I think that, and I understand that where. It is their series and they have their drivers. It tends to really benefit their drivers. Not over the weekend. We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I think that's too far one way. But then I think this is a good middle ground because, like you said, qualifying is very, very important at Knoxville. Pretty much any week that you're there, especially during nationals, as we know. But it makes you have to race in the heat races, and we have heard that as a complaint. It was an issue that I had, as well. That sometimes the heat races could just be a little and it can be tough to follow along with. We touch on that with Jason as well, but I like it. They're trying to make things a little bit, more fresh and make it a little bit more easy to follow and incentivize racing, which is why we're all there. So I am totally cool with it.
Right. So $50
now, the right front
on the line.
$50 on the line. Yep. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Right front mud cover, Blake, was the topic of conversation on social media.
Here's my thing. Like, I was in Florida when everybody was talking on social media, so I really wasn't able to read much about it. And I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm not really well informed on the whole thing. Like, I'm not that well informed on it. Like, I understand the reason that they're there, and the safety of it is true. I mean, these things fly, and we don't want people in trouble. I saw a couple of people on social media like, just put a sign out that says flying objects possibility. Well, yeah,
I'm sorry, that's bullshit.
Yeah, there's flying objects opportunity, but if we can stop it, I mean, we might try to stop it. I'm one of those people that I want everybody to be happy. That's really what it is. I hate seeing people hate it. I hate seeing people, it's like, it's just part of it. I mean, people aren't going to like the rule. I'm saying that I'm just thinking, in my opinion, I don't think this is anything that's going to be concrete. I think Knoxville will work around this. Jason talks about it a little bit later. Like, trust me, I don't know if this isn't a end all be all decision. I feel like this thing could fluctuate. This week for sure, if we do race, guess what? You got to have it. But it's just, I don't know. I'm just not well informed. I would not be the person to ask about it, and maybe that's bad on me, but it's also just not. That's why I'm in the booth. I'm not officiating. I just, drivers have their opinions. I'll respect both sides, and I just want our fans to be safe. That's a big part of it. And I know people might be like, Jason talks about how since 2021 we've had 22 fly off, and you're like, man, that's not that much. But it's like, dude, like these are metal discs, frisbees flying through the air. We've had one land in the Hy-Vee parking lot. It's like, it's just, if you can try to eliminate it, you'll want to eliminate it. But I don't know. I think I didn't tweet about it this week because I didn't really want to say something about something that I wasn't that knowledgeable in. I know a couple people tweeted about it and they got a lot of crap for it and whatnot. So I just tweeted about the laps, and I tweeted about the invert, and I tweeted about the format changing because I was like, that I know about, I can talk about. But if it was, I'm not very well informed on it, and I didn't want to talk about something that I didn't know about.
I will say the same thing. I am also not a team owner. I'm not a driver. I'm not a crew guy. I also am not super well informed on this as well. So this is just my opinion, which we're all entitled to, I would say. It does come down to the fact, and I'm touched on this a little bit later with Jason as well. I remember watching one go flying off a car, basically go through turns 3 and 4 and just ride the guardrail. Mm-hmm. And to me, my problem with it, and I touched on this too, is with the fuel cell thing. To your point as well, I get all sides of this. From the fuel tank side of things, we're talking about extra costs and things like that on whether or not they actually work. And, you're talking about a fuel tank trying to be, stuck on a race car. If it ruptures, fire danger, that's very real to the drivers. And I understand where drivers don't want that as well. However, as we saw at the Race for the Million, you can have cars back into the fence and their fuel tanks not rupture. So, maybe we got to look at the bladders that we're using, different connectors and things like that, which people much smarter than me and much more knowledgeable than I can, work and look at those things. Yeah. Same goes for I think the biggest thing that I saw and that I would probably disagree with as well on the rule is that it's mandatory that you cannot run one. Yeah. And, Dominic Selzy and Carson Macedo were two guys that were very vocal on Twitter about it, and rightfully so. Also, though, if you can go back and look through on-track pictures, there were many guys that don't run them at Knoxville. Yeah, I know Ayrton Jeniton had talked about how he didn't, but then he packed a wheel full, and then now he does. But I've saw pictures of like Brad Sweet wasn't running one there, and so I think that it's been a very much of a preference as to what teams and drivers want to do. To me, it's like if you have a rule about fasteners, then maybe we just need to enforce the rule on the fasteners, right. And if the fasteners are failing, then maybe we need to look at a different situation or a different solution. But if we have a rule change coming into the year where you have to use the 3 bolts, it's like, well, that's to keep them on the car. If that's being implemented, then why are we mandating that you can't run one on the right front? That was my biggest issue with it. And I think that was like, from what I saw with like Dom and Carson, was saying that you can't run one.
Well, and that's
their big sticking point.
I have the tweet pulled up just for background. So Carson Macedo said, curious to see how this new wheel cover rule plays out. Knoxville is notorious for building a big cushion, and at that speed, if you plug it with the right front without a cover, it can create serious issues. The car can become almost undrivable with how bad it shakes. There's a reason teams run them and accept the extra rotating weight of a bead lock. It's not for looks. Austin McCarl said in the comments, he said, knock on wood, I've never once ran a cover on the right front at Knoxville, nor has my dad or my brother, and we've never had a problem. Not saying it can't happen, though, but I don't think this will be an issue at all, in my opinion. That's from a guy that has run Knoxville weekly for a long, long time. That family
and you can fact-check it as well, because in the victory lane photo from championship night, he did not have one.
Yeah, so I don't know. The season hasn't even started yet. We'll see how this plays out. We'll see what happens. We'll just have to see. We made headlines. Not that we were trying to make headlines, but I mean, it's just sometimes a track will go for a step that not many other teams have taken, or not many other series have taken. You're like, well, somebody's got to do it. I applaud John. I trust John. I know what he's talking about. So I feel like, John's going to get it right. And if it needs to change, it'll change. There's nothing concrete about this whole thing, but sure.
John's a racer as well. So he sure knows, about all of that as well. And, we talk about this a little bit more with Jason as well. Like you said, this could very well be something that changes. We just have to see.
Yeah. So we'll hope for the best, but we've been talking about him the whole time. We had a chance to sit down with Jason Reed here before Knoxville gets going this week. So here's that interview with Jason.
Here with Knoxville Raceway General Manager Jason Reed. Jason, it's been a long off season that I don't know if it felt long for you, but how are things going down at the Knoxville Raceway tonight?
Oh, going good. Yeah, it wasn't a long off season, but we had a lot of projects going on, a lot of things going on, so it seemed like it kind of did fly right by. I kept telling myself, you got time, and then all of a sudden, right here we are. It's ready to go again. So yeah, overall went really fast, but like I said, we had a lot of different things going on, and it was a good off season, and we're ready to go again.
Heck yeah. Excited to talk about some of those projects that you guys undertook down there. Thank you again for coming on. Obviously, this is the hopefully season opener of the 2026 season, so it's good to have you back on. Would like to talk a little bit about, everything that has gone on. And, stopping down there for Cade's fundraiser, things right when you pulled in look a little bit different with the ticket office. Kind of talk through, some of the changes that went in on the grounds over the offseason.
Yeah, we decided that we had filled up the ticket office, and we decided to do a little project of building on. And so, we added on 3 more offices, basically, just extended the building to the east. And we started this project probably in November, I think, somewhere in there. And we was hoping to be done by this week, the first start of April. But actually, I've been in the office for probably about a month now. We finished it mid-March, I think, somewhere in there. So a lot of fairboard guys put in a lot of time over the winter, and the weather kind of cooperated. There was most of the times, we could work through. We got the building kind of boxed in there in early December, and then was able to work inside. There was a few cold days, but able to run some portable heat and get everything going on there. And so, it turned out really good. It was a long time coming. We'd outgrown the space we were in, and I think it's really nice. And it's some people want to see it when they get around here, stop by, and we'll show it off. So,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, had new fencing as well put around the racetrack. Can you touch any on that?
Yeah. So we when they finished this all ball tower, I guess we bought some of this black. It's basically like chicken wire to put on the fence there, just try to keep mud or anything else from flying through there, and it worked really good in front of there now. So then we bought some more of it last maybe a year ago, I guess, and we hadn't got it all put back up. We got some through turns 2 and started down the back stretch, and then earlier this spring I had a meeting with Chris Duncan and then by his crew. And I kind of mentioned to him, that we want to do that. I'm like, heck, we'll do that. And so they put it up all the way through 3 and 4 now, working on 1 and coming down the front stretch. I think the first project we did, we ordered 18 rolls of it, and we've used all that. And I ordered another 18, and we're on that now. So hopefully I don't think we'll have it completely all done by opening night, but by the Nationals anyway, we'll have it all the way around the fence, all the way around the track. Just to keep any dirt, debris, or anything to, try to just continue safety for fans and people around the venue.
Absolutely. And I saw some new guardrail went up as well. I know last time you were here.
Yeah, last fall, Chris and his crew also did that. I think they put on 165 or 170 pieces of new guardrail. So basically the whole bottom from the fence from the turn 4 pit gate to the round to the turn 2 pit gate. And the winter before, the maintenance guys, Mo and Skeeter, they had done the other side of the track. So now we've basically got new guardrail all the way around. But now we got a lot of paint to do to get it back to the white fence like it was. So, but yeah, lots of improvements. And then Chris and the guys, they straighten the front stretch fence too. It kind of gets to where it gets to leaning after it keeps getting hit time after time. So they worked last weekend or weekend before straightening the fence up there. So yeah, just a lot of general improvements, making the fence safer and keeping it up to snuff along the way here.
I was actually going to mention that. I thought the social team from the track did a really good job. Like you could kind of see it was like angling over a little bit. Go check out the social pages if you haven't seen the video. If you get
at the turn 4 pit gate and look down at it, then you're like, oh man, it is really leaning, So a lot of times you're sitting in the grandstand, you really don't notice it. But yeah, when you look at it, it moves a lot. So I guess that's our way of having a safer barrier fence. It gives a little bit, but sometimes you got to pull it back and get it straightened back up. But they did a great job on it, and they've had a lot of time to work on the track this spring, so they got the track surface ready. So then they had time to do some other projects, so they've been working on that. So hats off to those guys. They put in a lot of time, evenings and weekends getting that done. So naturally, they've all got real jobs outside of here. So thankful for those guys.
2025, I can't remember when we talked to you last year, but just kind of recap in 2025, we only had a couple rainouts, which I think was great. It stinks that the 4th of July was rained out. I mean, that's just a big one that you always want. But how would you categorize 2025 for us over at the track?
I thought it was really good. Like you said, we had a couple of rainouts, but nothing, huge. And then, just the only part that I didn't like was all the road construction that people had to deal with the bridge north being shut down and south of town being shut down. So I don't think that helped us out on our regular weekly shows. But the big shows overall still seemed to be good. The Outlaw shows were good, and of course the Nationals were good. So overall, yeah, I'd say good. Just trying to build on that again this year and hopefully ramp it up even some more.
Things that are ramping up a little bit more this year are the World of Outlaws. We're going to get to see them a few more times than we're kind of used to over the last few years. Got 5 total events, not counting the Nationals and things where they're helping in the Cappy, of course. Yep. What are you looking forward to with having them here an extra couple times this year?
Well, yeah, I think it's always good when we can have them here. When I heard about the open date, we wanted to get on it right away, so we did. And, I think it's just, building that, even though it's only a one-night deal at Knoxville, I think kind of, just trying to build that weekend up into, some people. If you want to come to town, we'd love to have people come to Knoxville on Friday, stay with us Friday night, race on Saturday, and then go up on the Houston's on Sunday night. Just a lot of people haven't seen both the tracks or been, make a weekend out of it, kind of to see what the teams do. Race here, pack up, and drive up there and do that. So, so I think it'll be hopefully good for both of us, and we just build it to another, a smaller event that people look forward to every summer.
I love that because I'm sorry, Blake, because I mean, kind of growing up, and I'm sure we've all been there for a long time. You kind of used to have that pipeline where the whole Saturday night Knoxville, Sunday night Houston. So I think working together, that's something that I know you guys have been really good with. Jackson Motorplex as well, and trying to not step on each other's toes, which is really good for the racing here in the Midwest, up the Midwest.
No, I think it helps out everybody if you're able to work together like that. There's only so many dollars that got to be spent, and everybody needs to, succeed. So I think it's good. I'm thankful that those guys are so willing to work with us. It makes life a lot easier for everybody.
It's great for us fans too. More racing, right. Love it.
USAC's returning back in May for the Corn Belt Clash once again. How big is that weekend? Obviously, it's different. I mean, that's what we try to tell fans. Like, hey, this is different, but it's still really good racing. I feel like it's kind of growing as in recent years. Do you kind of feel that sentiment?
Yeah, we're it's one of those. It's slow growing, but we're still trying, to expand on that. It's some of the newer race fans, didn't even know about sprint cars without wings, So they're like, when you non-wing, what do you mean? So yeah, so now just trying to get everybody to come out, and see it's they're not as fast, but it's still they put on a really good show, and then tying that right in with the Sprint Car Hall of Fame induction, it makes for a exciting weekend. A lot of people around town that are not normally here on a normal weekend. So just kind of that whole thing. I really enjoyed that weekend, and hopefully more people would come out and see that and support all those events and make it really good for everybody.
Definitely, we've been really treated to really good racing the last few years as well. I think there was a rubber race in there, but that we know how that that's not a common thing around here.
No, for sure.
I really enjoy it. And Blake, we've been really lobbying for Silver Crown. Is there any potential that we can maybe slip a little Silver Crown in there?
No Silver Crown updates at this time. No.
All right.
That's okay.
Watch out for look this time, Jason. We're going to keep asking.
I understand.
Randall Roofing is back for our 360 sponsor, and then Light and State Bank jumps on for our 410s. Two phenomenal groups that come in. I'm so glad that 410 was able to get sponsors back on it. How crucial is that to have sponsors for our weekly racing series?
Oh, it's everything. Everybody knows how tough the weekly show is, and it keeps getting tougher every year. So to have somebody jump on board like that to help out, and when I was doing this deal, they hadn't really done anything in racing, to speak of before. And man, I'm going to tell you the excitement that whole organization now. I mean, it's a smaller bank. I think they got 50 or 60 employees, but everybody we sent them the pictures of the Victory Lane hats that they'll wear there, and they're like, hey, can we get those for all of our employees? So it's really good that they're really engaged and involved in it. So I'm hoping to have them out here a lot this summer. We'll have some people in Victory Lane, and maybe even get some guys out from the bank to come down and meet the drivers. And so, no, it's really exciting to have them new on. And Randall Roofing, it kind of the same deal with him last year. When we do a lot of these deals, we try to do like a 3-year contract. And when we did this with Randall last year, he's like, man, he said, I've never done anything like this before. I don't really, if I want to sign up for 3 years. And so I said, oh, that's all right. We'll do 1 year. We'll hook you on. You'll be back. And so no, he had a great time. Had a lot of good exposure from it too. Both Randall was really happy, and hopefully we can make Light State Bank just as happy after this year. So lots of good things to come.
It's funny you talk about getting them hooked a little bit. It's kind of the same thing with, some of those fans that, if we can just get them to the racetrack, how many fans just get hooked on that? Yep. Be curious to see, with them maybe not having a huge history in racing, getting some of the employees and things there, seeing how many more race fans we can make.
Yep, no, that's exactly right. We put a lot of work and effort into it this winter. I got a small team that meets weekly, and just to go over things to do, and that's what we've kind of did. The whole fan engagement thing is what we're been focused on all this winter and planning for. And I think as we want to do it a little sooner than we got, but by the end of the week we should have a little video about our new fan zone that we're going to have every night before the races, which is we're going to have a show car, I guess, for fans to be able to get in and out of. It's and this thing is phenomenally nice. It's really nice. It's probably really too nice to be using a show car, but we're hoping to have it all put together by the end of this week. And then we're going to have the simulator out every night for fans to get a little try if they want to take try their hand at getting behind the wheel and see how they do ripping some laps around Knoxville.
I want to end our conversation with this upcoming weekend with the Craig Ford Pella Motors night, because I think it's a good way to top it off. 1 week I did want to talk about was the Lakeside Hotel and Casino Knoxville Legends night. What went into that? I mean, that's a really cool thing. We're going to have a couple big names come back. We got one big name coming up with us in the booth, Jack Herway. So what went into that whole thing? Because I think that's going to be really cool.
Right. That's another one of the things that we've talked about probably every year since I got into this position. And so then when we started this year, kind of the same thing come up. I'm like, all right, let's just pick a night and let's make this happen. We're never going to know until we just try it. So we come up with this. Well, actually, it turns out this year, the way the calendar falls, there was like an extra Saturday in July. So then Vermeer, of course, they used to be on that night, and they were wanting a later date, so they moved to that date. And I said, well, let's let's use this night then and do that. So we're going to give it a try, and hopefully, we can build on that every year. Pick some different drivers the next year, to go with that. Everybody that we reached out to about that, they were super pumped. Jack, when they called him, we didn't know how he'd be, and yeah, he was super excited. He's like, "Wait, is there any way I can just help with every year?" So yeah, I hope it turns out really good. Get those guys some, a little exposure, maybe some fans that didn't know who they were at the time, and relive some of the memories they had, some of the accomplishments they did here at Knoxville.
Yeah, it's really cool. I know it means a lot to my family, especially my grandpa's Jack Herway, for people that don't know. So it's going to be really cool. Anytime he can, get back down there in some capacity, it's always really special. We're getting hero
cards made for him.
I know.
All the things, everything. So it'll be a really good deal. I hope it turns out really good. So
we have to deal with his big head now. Going to be getting an ego on us, getting back behind the mic and stuff. It's going to be pretty good. But
we need throwback shirts for everyone. I think everybody should wear throwback shirts. It's going to be awesome.
Yep. I hope we can build it to make it a really good deal.
Yeah.
And it's cool just kicking it off with two of the best that we've seen, winningest driver, with David Hessmer, and Randy Smith is a legend in his own right down in Knoxville too. So really cool. Yep. Looking forward to that weekend for sure.
Yeah. We had rule changes, format changes, stuff come out. I'll talk about just kind of the stuff that hasn't been all over social media. We'll start out with the feature laps. The feature laps, I think, is awesome. 18 to 20 laps and then 20 to 25 laps. What kind of went into that whole process? How are you involved in that process, if any? And, talk about how that, realistically, I think it's a great change.
Yeah, no, I mean, John McCoy, he handles a lot of that, but we have a lot of discussions about it where he talks about. But yeah, actually, then this year, what really pushed it off, we had a couple 410 drivers, that talked to John about it. Austin McCarl, he was a big pusher of it. He's like, man, a lot of these races get really good at lap 20. He said, if we had 5 more laps, and I think he's right, and I hope he's right. We're trying to entertain people, and if it gets really good and the race is over, then but now if they got 5 more laps of doing it, so no, I think it'll be really good. I'm all for it. I've been wanting to go to 25 laps for a couple of years, so good for that. And get a couple more laps for the 360, the same deal. You think it's getting really good now, and then all of a sudden here comes the white flag, and like, man, I wish we could go a few more laps. So no, I'm excited to see that. I think they'll put on a good show, and we won't have any issues.
Yeah.
We're pretty fortunate, going back to a comment earlier, that the track crew does just an impeccable job every week, that you can extend those races. And I know it's not a ton of laps, but it is more laps.
Yep.
That you don't really have to worry, well, are we going to be able to, is the track going to be able to handle this?
Because, right, yeah, and usually most of the time, the tire wear is really good at Knoxville, so we don't have to worry about those issues, So no, I don't see any issues, and I think this will be a little more exciting for everybody.
I totally agree.
Also the points, getting rid of the points in the middle of the night, just kind of making it a heat race matter. If you can pass in the heat races, you really set yourself up well. Kind of sets you back with what the Outlaws have. And then obviously the invert can be 4, 6, 8, 10, or 12. I think that's, on your perspective, as a promoter's perspective, and as both the side of what the fans like, you're going to get some really fun stories, if we get a fun invert or if the heat races get really racy.
Yeah, no, I agree. And there was a lot of, we had a lot of new fans here, the last few years, and even some fans have been here longer. Like, how do I know how they get out of the heat race? I'm like, man, I can explain it to you. It's going to take a little while.
Yeah.
So,
sit back.
So, I'm sure, as you guys have known too, there's always a lot of talk about that, or so I think it'll be good now. It's just cut and dry. This is how many we're taking out of the heat race, and you got to run in there to make the feature. So I think it'll be easy for that, and then just add a little more excitement. We debated on, several times. I'm sure I've seen on social media that we're, 12 is way too deep to go in the feature, and I agree. It'll be tough, but we did have Brian Brown win from 16th last year, so I mean, it's not impossible. It'll be done, but so no, I think it'll spice it up a little bit, and maybe give some other guys a few chances to lead some laps up there. And the only thing is, they're going to have to hold those guys off for 5 more laps now, because they got going 25 laps on the 410. So I think it'll be good, and it'll be where everybody should understand it. So
yeah,
makes a little more, just a little more emphasis too. Every time you get on the track, you got to be moving forward. So
and
that's what I love.
And I think for Thinking Inc. especially, like that draw mattered. It was awesome that we brought the helmet in last year, but now I think it's a really big thing because everyone's going to be, the anticipation's like, oh, is he going to get, and you can't draw 0 anymore. So it's it's going to make that part of the night really fun to watch.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be really good. Most people that we've had some phone calls, they're like they were having a fit about it, and we explain it to them like, oh, wait a minute, this isn't so bad, and so I think it'll all work out in the end. You win some, you lose some on the invert draw, and it'll in the end it'll kind of even out for everybody.
Yeah. Exactly, and I mean, it might be a little tough if the 12 gets pulled 4 weeks in a row or something like that. But I mean, we were kind of talking about this earlier in the week when social media was blowing up about a couple things. But it's like, how many times did we have a 0 drawn last year too? That's a key thing to me, at least. I think I get both sides of like how drivers and stuff they talking about earning certain things, which is a valid point. But then at the end of the day, this is entertainment, in my opinion, too. So I think zeros could kind of sometimes dampen a little bit of that entertainment factor. Not that the sprint car racing is ever boring. In my opinion, it's never boring. But I do like that, we'll at least have a 4. And sometimes, maybe we'll get a 10 or 12 and have extra spicy.
Yep. No, I agree 100%. I'm excited about it. I think it'll be work out just fine. I mean, we always, I always hear too at the Nationals that with 8 being too deep for the heat race, but I mean, by the end of the week,
the cream rides to the top.
If the ones you thought were going to be there are going to be there, and so it's like I think they'll figure it out. They'll be fine. So
yep, absolutely. We have to ask because it was off the top, and that's been the main topic on social media. But the right front wheel cover changes. From the meeting that I was in last week with everyone else, and obviously I wasn't in the meetings that you had last year and everything else, but it's a safety concern right now. Is that what you would say the main thing? It's just all about safety, and that's how John kind of went at it?
100%. Yeah, we've had, I think John sent out a picture in his email. I think since 2021, we've had 22 of them come off here. Now, I'm not saying they're off the right front. Most of them are probably off the right rear, but so it's just been a major concern, and they, it's happened across the country. I was at a track last fall. They had one come off, and it went flying right, in front of me down through the grandstands. The whole grandstand's full, and then there's people at the fair outside the grandstands going on, and I was like, oh man, this is not good, Yeah. And so that's where it, really started to come to light. Like, well, we got to do something about this. It's we're going to get someone severely hurt that's come here to have an entertaining night, and then we've got this flying into the stands. We just got to figure this problem out, and unfortunately, everybody's got an idea, of what the best scenario is, or, well, this guy just doesn't know what he's doing, we just got to make a stand and figure out, try to figure a solution that works for everybody and keeps everybody safe, I mean, I've got family, friends in the grandstands. I don't want people getting hit, and so, it's easy to say, like, if you don't have any, if you're just, I'm going to say a casual fan or whatever, it's like, oh, that's just part of the deal. Well, when you're in a job like we're in, it's not part of the deal. It's a part of your business, and you got to live with that the rest of your life. If something happens and you're like, man, we knew it was a problem, but we didn't do nothing about it. So, I think I applaud John for keep pushing on that. We got to do something, and he finally just said, well, we're going to do it, and so then by adding on the right front, that stirred up a little bit more. But there's a lot of guys that don't even run a right front in Knoxville, but then there's some that do. So we're still reevaluating that, and we've since found out there's some wheel manufacturers that's got some really nice designs for the right front. So it's not like it's dead forever. We just got to look at it, and if we can make improvements, and it's justified that we need, the right front wheel covers, then okay, then let's do it. But just try to keep it as safe as we can. And McCoy, he is always looking at the safety part of it, looking for the fans, trying to keep them, out front, trying to do everything we can to make it safe for the fans and the other competitors. If that thing's flying off and a competitor hits it to him in the cockpit, that's not good either. So there's a lot of issues, but never going to make it 100% safe. But we always just try to keep making improvements to make it better.
Yeah, like to hear that. And we're talking about the right front wheel covers. If anybody hasn't seen that, there were some National Series changes that I think flowed down to Knoxville too, where they used to just be able to use Zeus buttons to attach those to the wheels. Now they have to be bolted on, or maybe more Zeus buttons. One of two options.
3 bolts in there to hold them on.
3 bolts. So. I feel like your perspective changes a little bit when you see something like that flying through the air, and you're kind of holding your breath, being like, "Man, I hope that doesn't land where." Yeah, because I saw one, at Knoxville last year, and it's like, damn, that thing, it can't go into the stands.
And John's even, at our officials meeting we had last week, he let them know that I know everybody likes to watch the drama in the work area, So if we have, I know we're telling them if you're going, you got to go now. We're going, but he's telling the official, you got to make sure those 3 bolts are in that wheel cover. Do not let them push, without making sure that that's on there. So just it's more work on our side too, to make sure that we don't, fourth they just we'll get one on and go. We got to go. So we're gonna hold them there until they get right. So a lot of little extra effort on our officials too to make sure that they're overseeing it and making sure that they get them on there right.
Yeah.
And I think I feel like you could even kind of equate that similarly to the fuel tank issue also. To me personally, you can't have car parts flying off, especially when it's a spectator sport. And I totally get the additional cost, complaint that we see from teams and drivers, because that is warranted, especially with the fuel mounting system. But we do have to, at the end of the day, remember that if fans are not there, then we don't have this. So
right, exactly, 100%.
And I know, not just saying this because you're here, but I know you and John, you guys, everybody involved is always open to feedback. And I know you just said that a short moment ago, but if you continue to hear feedback, or if there's issues with wheels packing full of mud, is there, opportunities to revisit this in the future? Mm-hmm. I know you said you mentioned, other wheel manufacturers are, kind of coming up with different solutions for this also.
Yep. No, we've made these rules, but it's not like this, they're set in stone. This is, this is the way it is. If we can come up with a good solution for everybody that's safe, we'll look at it again and reevaluate.
Yeah. Cool.
I hear that.
Really cool post this past week that I think, obviously it goes straight to you. Fan engagement internship. Talk about this whole thing. Obviously, if they want to apply, for those that are listening, I'll read this out. If you love engaging with the public, interested in the future and sports marketing of the event management, this is your opportunity you don't want to miss. You can get involved in pre-event planning, attend at least 75% of the scheduled races, help bring the fun, run the t-shirt gun, build the music playlist, do all that fun stuff. Engage with fans, welcome fans to the gates, collaborate with nightly sponsors, and create social media content to promote. If they want to apply, they apply to your email, cover letter and resume to jasonr@knoxvilleraceway.com. $1,000 scholarship awarded upon completion. So how'd this whole thing come about?
Just once again, one of those other things we've been talking about for several years. And then when we got going on this whole new fan engagement area for this year, I see a lot of fans when I come out here 6 o'clock in the evening or something, and I can see them out here in front of the ticket office. I'm like, those guys have never been here before, and so they're kind of walking in circles and not. So I just want to try to get some people to be able to answer questions for them, help them out. And then even like my thought is, you go to any other sporting events, basketball, hockey, whatever, there's stuff going on in between, when so that's what I kind of have that vision too, is like they walk up around in the grandstands. We might have some T-shirts to throw out to kids and stuff or whatever. But too, just like if someone has a question, like, well, this is my first time being here and I don't even understand what's it mean invert 4 and taking 5, just be able to answer these questions and help people out and just kind of just socialize them, see what their story is, what brought them here, what would make them come back. And so just the whole fan interaction. So I just thought, well, we'll get somebody that is eager about this and wants to get Knoxville Raceway on their resume. Here's a good chance for them. So I really should have had it out sooner than we did, but we finally did get it out. And I've had several good applicants already send in their resume and stuff. So I think it'll work out good. And like I said, we're going to put a lot of effort into the fan engagement this year, so we'll see how it turns out.
Cool. Love to hear that. It's more important than ever, being active and just constantly pushing that. So like to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Blake, I had one last thing for Mr.
And I got
Reed
one more
here.
thing as well. Once you're
okay, I'm going to put you on the spot, Jason. Are we ever going to have the potential of a twin feature night again at Knoxville? We were talking about it with Skip. That's what kind of got my mind jogged. It's either Skip or Matt, and we were talking about twin feature night, and I was like, man, I miss those nights.
Yeah, it's kind of tough with when we first started the twin features, they only ran 16 laps, and for half the money each one. Well, there's not very many teams that want to do that anymore, And unfortunately, great for Knoxville, but the purse we've got up to in the 410 purse already on a regular Saturday night's $41,000. So if you run two features, we all know there's not enough fans in the stands right now to justify that. So
we'll just take it out of Blake's salary. He can absorb it.
I'm not going to ever say never, but just the cost of equipment and the cost of putting on the race, And the other thing is, even my goal that I've been preaching the last couple of years, we want to be done by 10:15, 10:30. That just makes that virtually impossible. So, and without cutting out another class, if we did something that way, but yeah, I wouldn't say never possible, but it's just all the things would have to line up, just perfectly that someone wants to come on board and help with that, and we figured out how we make it not here till 1 o'clock in the morning, I guess. So
yeah.
Hey, it's not a no. I'll take it.
There you go.
The last thing I wanted to end on, I'm a big diecast collector. You guys are having your first diecast since 1997 with Knoxville on it. How'd that come about? That's just a really cool thing to have.
Yeah. Once again, I keep saying this, but this group that I have that is made up. I don't know if you guys know, but there's a race car driver on it. There we got some fair board members on it. And just some of the groups, everybody just throwing that out. And so we just talked about it and decided to go ahead and go with that. We didn't realize that the time it is to get them. We order them now, but we don't get them until I'm hoping to have them by the end of July. But I hope that's what we're putting out there. Not probably after the week of the Nationals, but I'm hoping to actually have them before the Nationals. So just going for that. But yeah, we got that going. We hadn't done one for a long time, so we thought being the 65th, we'll just give that a shot. And it's going good. I know you guys have probably seen we've launched shop.knoxvilleraceway.com. So now I get an email every time an order's made on there, so I get to kind of monitor that. Yeah. We've only had it open since last Thursday, so it's been good. But Deb Dennison, the Dennison Racing Tees, they've done our T-shirts here for that family 40 years or something like that. So and she's still doing that, but we partnered up, and she's come on board with us to do it this way. So we're just launching that KnoxvilleRaceway.com, and hopefully we just continue to build some people that are like, oh, I want some of that stuff from Knoxville. And if you're only here at the Nationals, you can order stuff online and get it that way. So just trying to kind of build that the brand and let people know what we got available. So I think the diecast thing, like I said, I don't think it's one thing you can do every year, but do it for this year. I don't think we need to wait 20 years over. We waited.
I agree. Maybe 70 come back around. We do 70. Yeah.
yeah. So kind of do something like that. So, but yeah, I can hopefully. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I guess you look up there behind me on top that gold beer can. Yep. I didn't know for sure what year that was, but that was 1979 was the last time.
I've got one of those right over here.
Yeah. But if everything goes out like it's supposed to by not this weekend, but the April Outlaw show, we'll have those on hand here at Knoxville again. New updated version of it for 2026. Cool. So hopefully we'll have that here at the Outlaw race here in April.
Cool.
I don't know. I don't think there's many beer drinkers down at Knoxville, so might have a few of those hanging around.
That's right. So
That's awesome. Well, Jason, we really appreciate your time here. fingers crossed we get good weather next week. And obviously, well, I guess just quickly touch on free general admission. We posted everywhere. If you don't know it's free next week, you've been living under a rock. We are free
this week, Blake. It's this week.
Yeah, sorry, this week.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to say. Craig Ford, I can't thank him enough. Him, Fellow Motors, coming on board this. This has also been a thing, that we've talked about for a couple of years now of trying to do. And then I think it was, I don't know, a week after I got back from the Chili Bowl or something, I think I just called Craig up and I said, hey, we've been talking about this for a couple of years. What do you say we really talk about it? And we set up lunch for the next week. And when we come out of there, we had the deal done. And so he was excited about it and big supporter of it. So, yeah, we've been giving out tickets, talking to everybody we can. We've been to hockey games. We've been to the Iowa Wolves basketball game in Des Moines, been to the Barnstormers. Yep. We got a lot of local business handing out tickets. So, yeah, anybody that doesn't know, there's plenty of ways to get them. And I just challenge everybody to. I've been telling all my race fan friends, I've been telling 10, that's probably extreme, but I'm like, just go get people that's never been here. Bring them here one night. It's free. I even took there's no parking charge, so it's free. That's awesome. You can park for free, you can go to grandstands for free. It's so, yeah, I just challenge you. If we want to grow the sport, bring some new people, expose them to it, and let's try to, make race fans. So I hope the weather cooperates and we continue on.
Yeah.
I think that's a great place to leave it, Blake. Listen to the man. It's free 99 this week. Get your butts to Knoxville Raceway.
Perfect. How about that? Well, Jason, we appreciate your time. We're going to roll things out here on our end. Tanner Swanson joins us tomorrow night on Sprint Car Nights, so make sure to tune into that. We'll talk about the Race for the Million that I was a part of here this past week down in Florida. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. Create a Dirt Vision account for those watching on Dirt Vision. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all of the platforms. Follow at Team Netcode and all of our social media platforms, and all of our 3 social medias will be wherever. Jason's mostly just through Knoxville Raceway. I mentioned Jason's email earlier, but if you want to try out for the internship program, I think that'd be really cool. So, Jason, we appreciate your time, and if all goes correct, we will see you next week, or this week, I should say, at Knoxville.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. You guys do great work, so keep it up.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Jason Reed here on Knoxville Nights.